Welcome, everybody. John Zager. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. Wednesday. It's about 56 degrees here in Colorado on the eastern slope. Beautiful day. A couple little clouds here and there out in the sky. And supposed to get warm again. Back up into the 80s, I believe, today. So, hope you're all having a good day and a good morning. Today's conversation, we're going to talk about kind of some social type research with people and their goings on. I guess what all that basically means is people seem to interact with one another in some interesting ways, and maybe we'll talk about them today and see what they have to do with neuroscience and the research that's out there. And so that's the conversation. Had a great day yesterday. Decided to do most of my work riding my bike, actually. Rode my bike all over town, did errands, did jobs, interviews, meetings, talked with bunches of people. It really went well, and it was a great change from traveling with your vehicle, car, truck, whatever it is, from place to place. Gas is getting kind of expensive anymore, at least around here it seems to be, so traveling on bike was certainly good from that standpoint, but I'm going to do it more often. Actually, today I'm going to hop on my bike. I've got some errands to run, and I'm going to do that while riding. Ran into some people yesterday that were sort of interesting, and thought we'd maybe just talk about that for a little bit. There's a growing tendency amongst people to take care of themselves. And nothing wrong with that. I think it's a great idea, and by all means, please keep doing that. But to the point that the people around you get hurt, I'm not sure it's a good thing. And give you an example. I'll give a very specific example. I have a friend who happens to need some medication, and needed it filled, and went to the pharmacy, and for whatever reason the medication had gone from $5 to $200, and person couldn't afford it. And whatever the good deal was before was no longer a good deal. My understanding is that the insurance that he had stopped as a result of non-payment from the state that was covering this prescription medication, little additive to the health insurance. And so anyway, calls the doctor and the doctor and the nurse and everybody, and they all respond back with, there's another company that, actually I think it's called RX Outreach. There's another company that we can use, and they'll give you a reduced price. But it's a lengthy process. You have to do paperwork and answer a bunch of questions and meet the criteria, but it sounds like all that would be fine. And we sent the prescription to them. Good luck. Okay, so, they did what they were supposed to do, yes? And I guess that's all good. But the lady administrator, when she called back, was very cold and condescending, according to this guy, and basically said, we can't do any more about this. We sent the prescription in, and you're on your own now. And the critical part was that the person needs the medication for health reasons, obviously, and it increases the probability of, grave misfortune occurring if the person doesn't stay on the medication. Lady didn't care about that. She's the head administrator of this place. And the doctor didn't care either. I had to open the door, you guys, so excuse the noise. So, after a lot of to-do type stuff, going back and forth with all of this, it was left with, you're on your own. We sent the prescription in. We hope it works out. The unspoken message was, if you die or whatever, well, we did what we were supposed to do. Of course, they deny that, but, if you read between the lines and the attitude and the way they were reacting, it sounded like they did what they needed to do, or the minimal amount of work that they were required to do. Okay, so that's example number one. Example number two. Walk into a bicycle shop yesterday. Now this is me, and riding my bike, tires a little bit low. Thought I'd go ahead and grab some air. Went to the bike shop, said, can you throw some air in the tires? And they basically said no, but there's the pump. And, go ahead and put it in yourself. And it didn't have a gauge to say how much air was going in, right? Of course, you can always feel with your finger, but, that's hit and miss all the time. You may not be right on. And asked two people that work there, can you help me? Do you have a gauge? Not necessarily can you help me, but do you have a gauge? No, just put about 60 pounds in there. Okay, so point of that little interaction was, what is the least amount of work that I can do? What is the minimal amount of work that I can do to satisfy this customer and reduce my workload and be more concerned about myself than the other person or the customer, I guess. That's example number two. There were several others from yesterday, but for the most part, reading on the internet, the constant saga of how the government, politics, corporations, businesses, and this is pretty much fact that you can go read. I mean, or if you live in America, just open your eyes. Seems like everybody is doing the minimal amount of work to accommodate the other person in need and being more concerned with their own personal benefit. Yeah? We got mosquitoes in the truck this morning, you guys. You might hear me slapping a mosquito or two. I'm at a different location. I'm down by some more lakes. We have a whole bunch of these ponds. There's like 200 acres of different ponds with all kinds of fish in them. But again, the mosquitoes just came out within the last week, and so now they're flourishing everywhere. You open the window or open the door for any length of time, and they all come in. But anyway, so what I see, and what you guys see as well, I know you do, is that people are concerned with themselves first and the other person second. Yeah, come on, you guys. I know that's not across the board, but the world's not a perfect world. And it's very self-consumed, narcissistic. People are concerned about their best interest. Man, just go to the grocery store. Go to the gas station. Go shopping somewhere. The line at these box stores where you have, you're going in there for one or two specific things. I don't know, whatever it is you're buying. And, the self-checkout area, it's like competition to get in there and beat you here, to the cash register, so you have to wait and the other person can go faster. Here's an interesting one. This happened to me 2 days ago. So I'm going in a place to eat, right? To sit down, and I think I was getting some iced tea or something. And this lady and her husband had arrived about the same time I had, and we're all in the parking lot. And she's on this race to get in the place before me, which I guess gives her a priority status of one position sooner than if she lingered or whatever. She gets to get served quicker, right? And I'm just walking. I had a shorter distance to walk, and she had a longer distance to walk, and she left her husband and just started walking really fast to the door. Got to the door, I don't know, a few feet behind her or whatever. I probably should have gone in ahead of her, but she opens the door and just goes in and doesn't look back to see. She knew I was there. She didn't look back to see if the door was going to hit me. She didn't care. She just wanted to beat me inside, right? Okay, So it's a two-door thing. You go in the first door, then you go in the second door. And so I kind of caught the door as it was coming in my face. And the second door, she did the same thing. She just opened the door to make sure she got through well and did not care if the door was slamming back on me. All right. That's another example. Coffee's warm. But you get the gist, right? You get the gist of what I'm talking about. And Simon Sinek gives a fair amount of presentations on this very topic. And the topic, he puts it under leadership. I did that podcast the other day on that. Got nobody to listen to it. I went back and looked at the statistics, and nobody listened to the podcast on leadership, which I was just, kind of working off of what Simon Sinek talks about in his lectures, which again today is kind of the same thing. I just put it under a different title. And what it comes down to is, are we concerned about the person to the right of us, to the left of us? I don't know, in front of us and behind us? And the answer seems to be no. According to research, social research, where these psychologists people go out and study this stuff. And they compile numbers, and they come up with statistics and results, right? And for the most part, people are concerned about their well-being and what's in their best interest to get them ahead. All right. So that's that part of the podcast. The last part I just want to reference to is, I guess, there's things called values, right? We all have a set of values. And our values are driven from when we're a little kid, being brought up by parents and adults and whoever. And of course, that's where we get our beliefs and perceptions, right? And our values. Somewhere along the road, we know that the beliefs and the perceptions are way off base. And people today are struggling with being well, physically and emotionally. This is just another part of that, where it's just about you. It's not about the person to your right or your left. And as I had talked about previously, we're talking about purpose. Your purpose in life, right? And the answer to that is, we are here to be of service to one another. Okay? I don't think intellectually anybody has a problem with that. I think the concept is agreeable amongst people that, you know, our purpose in life is not about me, but how can we as a group, how can we as a people, how can we as a culture, how can we as a world make this whole place better? Follow me? And I just wonder if anybody is in agreement with that. How can we make this place a better place? How can we make the world better? There's another study that is similar to this, and the study goes with, this is neuroscience. The study talks about people lack compassion and love. And in turn, if you know about energy centers or chakras, you know, the heart, 1, 2, 3 is the fourth one up. And if it gets blocked, probably physically as well as spiritually, I mean, if it gets blocked and you don't feel any compassion or love towards other people, you're just attracting disease. This is neuroscience, this is research. So, there's a thing that I've done a podcast or two on in the past called heart-mind coherence. And it's just that if your heart is open and you feel generous and love and compassion, your heart now can communicate freely with your brain, and with the two of them working together well, where they're synced together, your whole life just changes. Spiritually, physically, emotionally. You're now warding off disease, right? You are now attracting just all these genes that build up your immune system. And that's kind of the research that's out there. And it's not getting a lot of attention. Dr. Joe in his workshops, I know, spends a lot of time on it, and people are jumping on the bandwagon, and it's becoming a trend in trying to be able to achieve that. I think it's wonderful. So I'm wondering if maybe people would, how would I say it? If you can find meditation groups to go to, most assuredly they work on heart-mind coherence. And it's a starting place to where if you struggle with the betterment of the person to the right or the left of you, it's a starting place to alter or change some of those values that you might have from the past. None of this says you're a bad person. It just says that your programming is not good. It says that our programming as a people, as a culture, as a nation is probably not very good right now. And through education and training, hopefully we'll be able to reprogram some of that stuff. Pretty clear? I don't know what's going on. Nobody's listening. I'm talking today. I looked at the statistics, and for the past week, nobody's been listening. So I don't even know if I'm talking to anybody. It's broadcast on iHeartRadio, and they actually do a lot of advertising for my podcast. You can always go there and get on it, and I put everything on YouTube, so even my podcasts are on YouTube. It's on Facebook, it's on LinkedIn, it's on Twitter, a variety of other social media sites. I didn't do a podcast yesterday because I was pretty bummed that these are good podcasts. I mean, some people are going to like the style better than others. I understand that, but no listeners kind of worries me a little bit. So we'll see what happens. We'll do it for a while longer, and if it just continues to be, no listeners, then I don't know what I'm doing it for. But anyhow, hope you all have a good day and look forward to talking to you again real soon. See you. Bye.